Hi, Doug Jones here with another Energy Matters vlog. This is part 4 of how to surf or ride a don't know wave. And at the end of last video, I was struck by that central question: how do I be with something like the coronavirus from a different place? How do I be with it differently? How do I be with it in a different state? In this instance, how do I come into relationship with a pandemic from a feel and flow instead of a see and know? And the answer is you have to cultivate this state of resting back into mystery, of trusting the feeling and learning to flow with the wave. And I was having a moment after I made the last video thinking about the Japanese monks that I talked about who run in the forest in the dark and don't trip over the roots and rocks. And how do they get there? Well, they start by walking and by learning the meditative state where they can put their perception out in front of them and feel rocks and feel tree branches. And you start very, very slowly as a beginner. In my own life, I got to start night surfing as a beginner, and it was really an adventure. Basically, you fall off and wipe out a lot. Because I had a dear friend, George, who would night surf with me. He was the only one crazy enough to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I lived at the beach, so I could go out front. He had to drive to my house and then go out front. And George and I had to learn how to surf all over again, which was really an interesting thing, to do what we already knew how to do, but do it differently. And we wiped out a lot in the beginning. The good news is it was dark and there was nobody there, so we laughed at each other a lot. I'm going to conjure up one memory just to kind of lighten the coronavirus mood. I usually got out there first and I'd leave a note under a rock, very analog, no texting back then. And George would come find me where I said, I'm over there, over here. And he came out on a day and he paddled out and sat on his board. And I said, hey, George, I could just barely see, dark on dark. You could see his shape. I said, you might want to move out a little bit. It's a lot bigger than we thought it was going to be. And it's breaking farther out. He said, nah, I checked it. I'm fine. And I was paddling back out from riding a wave. And I saw about a 6 or 8 foot wave break right in his lap, right about a foot in front of his body as he was sitting on his board, and it just blew him backwards off his board. It was utterly pummeled. And I, of course, had great compassion, so I laughed hysterically. George came up spluttering, and he paddled out. He said, I think I'm going to start a little further out. Good idea, George. And it does highlight that when you're learning something new, like how to be in relationship with some external violence like a pandemic from a different place, from feeling and flowing, there are going to be some kapluis along the way. That's a technical term, kaplui. And you learn to roll with it. The other thing that is very helpful is getting help from other people who've been in that territory. That when I was learning cranial work, I was learning to feel and flow and perceive differently. And then I went blind. I couldn't get anything. So I went to my teacher, Franklin, and I said, I'm struck blind. I can't see anything. And he helped me work through it. So it's really helpful to have people who already know how to do this that you can orient to and consult with. I do this with a lot of apprentices, and some of the clients I'm seeing is I help them refine, cultivate, and learn this different way of being. And I think I'm going to close this riding of the don't know wave with a story and a wish for you. My wish is that you enjoy the ride. This type of existence, these different states, sometimes have surprising beauty and surprising, astonishing experiences. And I'll close with this. I was surfing once, and there was a partial 3/4 moon headed towards full. So it wasn't totally pitch black, but I took off on a wave and I was getting tubes. The lip pitched out over me and I kind of ducked under, and the moon came right in through the tube and fractured and just split into 1,000 shining silver pieces. And I believe I fell off my board. It was, I'd never seen anything like it in my life. It was like moonlight hit a lead crystal and just went all different directions and kept fractioning. It was unbelievably beautiful. So I fell off and got another wave, tried to get another two where I could see that. So I encourage you, as you move forward, to join me in exploring and cultivating this altered state, the state of resting in mystery, of feeling and flowing. And it's a wonderful journey, and it can give you lots of benefits when you're orienting to something really difficult like a pandemic. Okay, this is Doug Jones. Thanks for listening.